Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. So on today's video, I will be discussing the second method to data aggregation, which are using the SUMIF and SUMIFS function in Excel. So I have already discussed the first method in my video on introduction to pivot tables. So you can check that video. I have placed the link to that video in the description box below. So if you are liking the content on this channel, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more such videos. With that said, let's get to the video. Let us suppose we have this data of a superstore which has catered to multiple customers on different order dates, and these customers live in different regions, and this is their state, and this is the category of product that they have purchased. And in column E, we have the sales value. So to use the SUMIF function and calculate the sales by every region, I will first copy paste the region column into a different tab, and then I will deduplicate or basically remove duplicates from this column since I do not want any duplicate region values. Otherwise, the data aggregation will give me inflated numbers and my numbers will not be correct. So once we are done with this, I will now be populating the sales number corresponding to every region. So for populating the sales number, I will be using the SUMIF function and applying it onto the data source. Basically, I would be summing up the column E and I would be getting an aggregated sales number for every region. So in order to apply the SUMIF function, I will just simply place my cursor on the cell into which I want to apply the SUMIF function, and then I will go to this insert function button, and then I will look up for the formula that I want to apply. So this is the SUMIF. I'll press the go button. So now I have two options, SUMIF and SUMIFS. As of now, I want to use the SUMIF function. I will select that and press OK. So once I'm done with that, it will prompt me to enter three parameters. So basically, SUMIF has three parameters. So the first parameter is the range. Range is basically the range of data source cells that I will have to provide to this function. So what is our data source? So the range in this scenario would be our data source. Since I do not want order date as of now, so I would be entering the range from column B. So I'm basically giving it the range starting from column B to column E. And then I will log this range as a best practice. So once we have logged this range, our range will not change on dragging our formulas from top to bottom or left to right. And now we move to the second parameter of the SUMIF function, which is the criteria. So what does criteria mean? Criteria basically refers to that data which we want to look up. So in our scenario, I want the sales of central region in this cell B2, wherein I am applying the SUMIF function. So my criteria would be the central data. So I am basically giving the cell reference as A2. I will log this cell reference for the best practice, and then I will move on to the third parameter. The third parameter to the SUMIF function is the sum range. Sum range basically refers to the cell reference of that column to which we want to create the sum of. So in our case, we want to calculate the sum of sales. So I would be referencing the sales column into this parameter. So I will go to the data source and I will give the cell reference of column E into this parameter, and I will be locking the range as a best practice. And then I will press OK. And once I'm done with that, now I have the sales of central region aggregated using this long tabular data source. Since I have already logged the ranges in my formula, I can conveniently drag this formula down so that it gives me an aggregated sales number for every region. Let me format this a bit so that it is more readable. So I will go to home. I will just simply remove the decimal points, and instead of showing this as a number, I will be showing this value as a currency. So I will just select something in dollar, and let's say I press OK, and now I have the aggregated sales by region using the SUMIF function. So now let's move on to the SUMIFS function. So SUMIFS function is used when there are multiple criterias while aggregating data. So in the SUMIF function, we had just a single criteria, which was the region. So let us suppose now I want the sales by region and category. So I want these two columns, region and category, and I want the aggregated sales across region and category. So I will be doing that using the SUMIFS function. So to do that, I will simply copy the region and category column into a separate tab, as I'm doing now, and then I will be deduplicating or basically removing duplicates as we did in the SUMIF scenario. So I will just select the entire data, go to the data section, and then go to remove duplicates. Since I have headers already in my dataset, so I will press OK, and now my duplicate values have been removed. So I would be now populating the aggregated sales number across the central region, and let's say office supplies in cell C2. So to apply the SUMIF function, I will place my cursor on cell C2. I will go to the insert function button. I will type some ifs and I will press go. So now I will have the SUMIF function over here. I will press OK. So now it will prompt me to provide the relevant parameters. So the first parameter to SUMIF function is the sum range. Sum range typically refers to the range of cells which I want to calculate the sum of. So that would be the sales in my case. So I will go to the data source and I will provide the cell reference of the sales column into this parameter, and I will be locking the range of cells as well. Once I'm done with that, I will be providing the criteria range 1. So what do I mean by criteria range 1? Criteria range 1 simply refers to the range of first criteria. So there, as I told you, there can be multiple criteria in SUMIFs. So the first criteria is that I want sales by region and category. So my first criteria is the region value. So I would be giving the range of that region value. So into which column do I want to find the region value? This is the B column of data source. So I would be now referencing to that and locking the range of cells. So moving on to the next parameter, which is the criteria 1. Criteria 1 simply refers to the value that I want to find in this range of cells which I have specified in the criteria range 1. So criteria 1 in my scenario would be this value in cell A2, which is the central region, since I'm applying the formula on cell C2. So once I'm done with that, I will lock the range of cells, since I would be just locking the column in this scenario. So once I'm done with that, now I will be providing the range to the second criteria in my aggregated function. So since I want the sales by region and category, so now I have specified the first criteria, which is region, and now I will be specifying the second criteria, which is the category. So I would be specifying the range of category in the data source, which is column D. So I would be passing column D as the reference to this parameter. So once I'm done with that, and once I'm done with the locking, now I will move to criteria 2, which is the next parameter. So criteria 2 is simply the value that I need to find in column D of this data source. So this would be in my aggregated cell reference, this would be the office supplies, which is the cell B2. So basically I want to find office supplies in the entire column D of the data source. So I will now use the locking. So once I'm done with that, I will press the OK button, and now I will have the aggregated sales number. So this sales number represents the sales across the central region, and for office supplies category is this much. So since I've already logged all the cell references in my formula, I can conveniently drag this formula down as well, and now I will have the aggregated sales number by region and category. We can apply the SUMIF function using multiple criteria. I have illustrated the SUMIF function using the two criteria only, but you can choose to incorporate multiple criteria into this SUMIF function. You can choose to use 5 or 6 criteria as well, but then the formula will be a longer one and it will be a more complex formula. So for illustration purposes, I have shown just the two criterias and the and that brings us to the end of today's episode. So if you like the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more such videos. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon in the next video.